Architect Sharina Anwar and her family live in Kakodi in Calicut, which is a town that's a couple of hours north of Kochi. What's really nice about this house is the fact that it is a contemporary house that's been created for multiple generations of one family.
And so that sort of called for a very open floor plan, but everybody having their own little spaces where they could utilize their time, their personal time, and yet sort of congregate into, the common spaces. It's not easy being an architect to design your own house. The designing sort of never stopped.
This area is very well known for the river.
The river takes a very muddy green color. That's the palette which sort of was used for the entire upper living room.
There's a drum set, there's guitar, there's organs. There's an elevator for the grandparents. There's a kitchen where everybody comes together. Traditional houses in Kerala were well known for one architectural feature, the courtyard. What Sharina Anwar's managed to do in her very contemporary house is create a courtyard that is actually better than the traditional courtyard. It allows the courtyard to be shut in the monsoon, and during the summer, it brings in light and it brings in lots of wind.
We've tried to make sure that we put a lot more earthy things and keep whatever has been used, whether it's concrete, keep it as raw as it can be.
There's lots of opportunity to be with nature and be able to enjoy the surrounding. So this is a very happy house living in a very happy place.
I'm Amrita Guha.
And I'm Joya Nandudikar. We both are founders of Untitled Design. So as far as this house is concerned, we both were very sure that whichever product we have to do here would be customized, not outsourcing.
So for example, we've used the design and the detail of the hand of Hamsa, which is basically a Turkish evil eye symbol. That being done by a karigar from the villages near Mathura. When we started exploring nuances of these craft, we felt that we could take it to the next level and achieve certain elements which these people haven't done before. Primarily, these are granite chunks, byproducts of the gang saw cutting of the granite quarries. This is how we have used it on the wall. The Naga table, it is a rice grinder which the Naga village women used to use to grind rice, and the other one is a village door. The cantilevered staircase has been entirely made out of recycled wood. Narayan Sinha's Ganesha on a Diet is something that I loved. This has a nut cracker, we call it janti in Bengali, which has been used as the ears. So when it came to designing the kids' room, initially the concept was to have a wallpaper. Whilst we were shifting, I came across these bunch of very old sketches. That's when it struck me that why a wallpaper? Why not something which is so them? So we thought of using those sketches.
Shola is amongst few materials which we are trying to explore and use it in our product and interiors.
We used it as a tabletop and we had to seal it with a piece of glass. And it's settled in beautifully with the rest of the two tables.
Our earlier sort of structure also had exposed concrete. So therefore it was something like an unsaid desire that we want exposed concrete around.
Not only me and my family love to spend a lot of time is primarily the family lounge. I could be reading, my husband could be working, while my children are doing their homework. We could be doing different tasks and yet we could be in the same space. That's where we sort of unwind and we spend a lot of time.
Hi, I'm Dina. I make customized furniture and I also do a little bit of interior styling.
I'm Arun. I run an architecture studio.
And this is our home in Bangalore. I left all the architecturing to him because I completely trust his style. If you see the walls and stuff, it's not really painted, but we've used something called London putty. And he left all the furniture to me. So I think it was a pretty good combination.
A lot of the thoughts pertaining to the design of the apartment was essentially to have space, a lot of space for our dogs and for our
plants.
friends and for our plants, etc. The palette of the flooring has been fairly kept simple because the pattern by itself is fairly strong in terms of the motif, etc.
I am part Goan, so I spend a lot of my summer holidays in Goa. And all old Goan homes have these vintage pattern tiles, and it's something that I sort of grew up with. I wanted the pattern tiles, Arun wanted a wooden floor. So we had a compromise and we decided to do like 3/4, 1/4. On this couch, all the time. In fact, too much time is spent on this couch.
We're here, it depends on what the general mood of the day is. Depends on if there are friends, then we're normally hanging out on the terrace.
My mum had this single bed that she had when she was a little girl. So I think it must be a 50-odd-year bed. Something that really meant a lot, had a lot of value for me emotionally. You know, we joined both the headboard and the footboard, so that came together as a headboard itself for a double bed. And we created just a simple frame around and had a mattress on it. So it becomes like a very interesting, intricate headboard.
We have our dining table, which is also very interesting because that is made of the American walnut, which is it's a single slab of wood. It's about almost 11 feet long. And the interesting part of the whole thing is that it's the wood from a fallen tree. It's not been cut specifically to get the wood.
Everyone would laugh because I would say I want an apartment with birds chirping outside. And they would literally say there's nothing like that exists in Bombay.
Today we are in a beautiful white apartment in a sleepy lane in Worli, Mumbai. Saloni Doshi chose this 1300 square feet as her first independent home in the city.
So I grew up in 3 homes in Bombay, Delhi and Calcutta. I did up my Delhi house and my Bombay house, the bungalow in Juhu where my parents live. And I had to consider things that everybody likes. I mean, I could not put up art that I wanted to. However, when I got this place, I didn't have any of that.
Saloni runs an artist residency in Mumbai and has been collecting pieces for 15 years.
So I run Space 118, which I started 10 years ago because of my interest in art. However, my own personal journey is very different in terms of collecting. To put up my entire collection, which is over 300 works, is a bit difficult for this home. I wanted the gaze to fall on the art when someone enters the home. I wanted people to say, I love the art, and where did you buy this from?
Having known and admired interior designer Kavita Singh's work, she picked her to design the apartment.
When this house started, unfolding for both of us, there was one thing I was very clear about, and that's her philosophy too, that I wanted it to be in white, in shades of white. I felt it's very contemporary, and I felt it's something that I wanted to, live with. I also didn't want colors that I'd already used in our Delhi and Bombay homes.
The home had to be a functional space designed keeping in mind Saloni's lifestyle. But there were some challenges to designing a small space.
I didn't want to consume a lot of space in the bedrooms because I'm barely there at home. I travel a lot. So I converted one of our master bedrooms into the living space itself to expand the home. We used mirrors to make the house look bigger.
Despite the small size, Saloni's house has a sense of drama and grandeur that the large pieces of artworks help bring in.
Grandeur in a very structured way, in a very defined way. It's not about bling, it's not about gold and silver. It should just be subtle and grand. I think people are averse to using large work. So using large scale works actually makes the house look bigger. I think discovering young artists, discovering something different, something that one hadn't seen before in the history of Indian art and global art is something that attracts me. So the house has to be a reflection of me, and I feel that's what comes through when one comes over to my space.
This is where I grew up, my ancestral home. Right now I basically live in Dubai. We had this space which was basically rented out by my grandparents. So I asked them, if they could give this back to me, and they were like more than happy to do that. So now I turned this space into a place where I can come and unwind. Luckily, I happen to be best friends with Avinash, who's the designer of this house. He told me that you have a wonderful paddy lands that you can see from your home, and there's a lot of nature outside, trees, plants. And he said, we have to bring all of them into the house. This was an old house. My grandparents' living space downstairs felt like some cardboard boxes with lot of walls and very small windows. He tried to bring more light into it. We started the work during COVID, so most of the things we had to procure online. I was inspired with the Scandinavian interior designing styles. My friends come here, so we don't go out much now because especially it's COVID. During the COVID also, it was a wonderful idea. Even though we have modernized the home and changed the entire DNA of this house, but there were some things that my grandparents were really particular. There used to be a space that was a patio, but we had to turn into a parking space. Now it's back in its original glory. The grandparents used to sit and enjoy their evening tea or have a game of cards with their friends. So that's the place that they love the most as well now, and they're really happy that it's been restored and not a car parking space. It's magical now. It feels very alive. You can feel the freshness inside. We are all happy now how it has turned out to be.